You need flexible fingers to make a good sound on the violin and also to do lots of different bow strokes. When my fingers aren't soft and I hit the string, it's very hard, but when my fingers are relaxed, like suspension, then the note is longer and more ringing. Here are 6 ways to free up your fingers. Number 1, I call this spider push-ups. You can do it with beginners, it's super easy. Place your left hand out flat and take your floppy right hand and place it on the left hand so that all the fingers bend. So the spider's knees and elbows are all bending like that. It's not an active movement. You're not pulling up the fingers like this. You're pushing them up with the left hand. Next step, take your pencil and make your bow hold nice and floppy, bent pinky, bent thumb, and then those spider legs still can bend even while holding the bow. You'll probably find that you'll fall off the bow a little bit. Just put it back on and do it again until it's like this. Always a passive movement. Now take the violin, make your nice relaxed bow hold, and just use the string instead of your left hand, and the fingers will collapse like that, just like they were before. And there you have a nice flexible bow hold, and it cushions the bumps just like a shock absorber or a suspension on a car or a bike would work. Alright, number 2. This is called collé. Now collé is bowing with just the fingers, like this. We're not going to do a proper collé, but we're going to work on getting those fingers moving. So step 1, use a table, and you can make your fingers go exactly at right angles, so pointing right at the ground, and then you can bring them up until they're flat or even above flat like this. After you've got it on a table, just do it in the air, straight down, and then up and down, up and down. Okay, not like this, we're not waving, we're going directly down and then directly up to horizontal or above. Next step, do a bow hold, but quite a narrow bow hold. It's easier to do at first when you have a narrow bow hold. So get those fingers going down and up, down and up. If you lose your bow hold, just put it back again, no worries. Down and up. Now start to think that the down is actually a bit to the right and the up is a bit to the left. So then we have down to the right, up to the left, and we're doing a little down bow, little up bow. Next step, take the violin and the bow, put the bow on the string in the middle, and then do straight fingers, bent fingers, and a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. Okay, and really exaggerate as much as you can. Make sure your thumb is bending on every up bow, and then straightening on every down bow with the other fingers. It's easiest at the middle, because you don't have to hold up the bow's weight, but as you get closer to the heel it gets more and more difficult. So start in the middle, and once you can do it here, you're doing really, really well. You can add it to your collé stroke later, but that's for another video. Okay, number 3, there are movements from your life which you already know that are the same as doing great bowing. So imagine painting, holding a paintbrush, or ribbon dancing. I'm sure you're all really good at that. Or perhaps running your fingers through water. You get the wrist movement as well, which we'll work on in a different video, but the fingers are flexible also. Now take your violin and imagine you're going through water, just the same. Okay, of course we can over-exaggerate these things, but for now we're just getting everything moving, so we can dial in the right amount later. Number 4, take the bow, hold it with your left hand quite firmly, and then try and do an up bow, but resist it with your left hand. And then try and do a down bow, resist it with your left hand. And if your fingers are locked, it will look like this. But if your fingers are flexible, you'll get that sort of movement. We have this normally when we bow on the violin, because there is resistance when we grip the string. So if you've got that string gripped like that, and then you pull, the fingers are left behind a little bit. And then when you pull down, the same thing happens. So you can imagine I'm pulling up against resistance, and now I'm pulling down against resistance. There is a huge range of bow holds amongst great players, but I've realized that almost all of them agree that when you change the bow at the heel, the pinky will bend. So for our 5th exercise, we're going to consciously exaggerate that. It will become passive later, but we're going to exaggerate the bending as we change bow at the heel. Bend. So on the up bow, your pinky's left behind a little bit, and then just at the change, you're going to bend. Some people would say it's a bit before, some people would say it's a bit after. It doesn't matter, let's just get it moving. Later on, this will just become passive because you'll be so relaxed. But for some people, just actively bending as you change to the down bow is a really good way to lock it in. Okay, number 6, the final exercise is all about unlocking the fingers from the bow so that you can stay fluid rather than being locked in place. So simply lift a finger or lower a finger on every quarter of the bow. So start with all the fingers down, 1 quarter, then lift your pinky. At halfway you lift the 3, at 3 quarters lift the 2. At the tip replace the 2 over the bow, at 3 quarters you replace the 3 over the bow, halfway you replace the pinky, at 1 quarter you can lift the first finger, and at the heel you replace it and then you just loop that over and over again. This is letting go of fingers you don't really need at each stage of the bow, so that you're never feeling like you're locked in place. If you found that exercise helpful or perhaps still confused, I have done a more in-depth video on that specific exercise, so check it out. Here's a demo of the same thing played with locked fingers and flexible fingers so you can hear the difference. Or hopefully you found that helpful. That's all for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to hear more of these types of videos. Happy practicing. See you next time.